Hello. Y'all can hear me good? I've got my desktop mic on. We're going to talk stocks, gather up a little bit. I love stocks. All right. Hope I don't got two of these running live, because I don't know. I hope I only got one. Welcome to I Love Stocks. We're going to get here and we're going to talk some stocks today. I just got back from a job on a janitorial business. And I want to talk a little bit about my challenge. So I'm going to do a couple more things here. There we go. I started everybody ready? Yabba dabba do, man. Shrimp, yes. I'm going to talk about shrimp too. Shrimp's really starting to rebound. But we're going to talk about a few stocks that I want to talk about. And I'm going to first start off with, I started a challenge, an options challenge a couple weeks ago. And it's not doing too bad. I'm up almost about $750 some, and the trades I'm in right now are CRM, DBX, and Starbucks. And I got real lucky with that DBX. At the end of the day, had a pretty good little pop. And then I got an alert from George for the trade exchange from CRM, and I jumped in that. And I bought this at the bottom and sold it already. And then I got into Starbucks, and I'm kind of hoping that we get a rebound on it. It's got a lot of good upgrades, and then it got a downgrade by JP Morgan, so that kind of kept it stale for a little bit. I think we'll go back up next week. So I'm going to see what kind of charts I got set up here. But I have started the options challenge, and it's not doing too bad. I represent a chat room called I Love Stocks. I posted my little challenge right here, what I did. I've been posting on a daily basis of what I'm doing in it. 1,754. I had a little down tick last week. I was down like $400 in the account and I had to make it back. I got in Facebook and Netflix, hoping for a bounce on Netflix, and it got also Fat Cat came in there and said Roku was a better trade, and Roku popped. Facebook, all them lawsuits. I scalped it at first and made a couple hundred, and then I got back in it and lost about $4. So I had to make that back up, and I did. And this is my little challenge right here. So let's go ahead and start talking about stocks. I love stocks. Everybody knows that. It's my passion, and my passion is to help others try to learn the path of financial success. And we're going to go ahead and there's going to be I use FinViz a lot for when I'm looking up floats. If you're not familiar with FinViz, all you got to do is type in a little ticker, let's go ahead and type in ICON, ICON, for example. And if I wanted to see what kind of float it was, I just go down here and find 12.75 million. This is one of the most accurate that I've seen when it comes to finding the float size and some of the financial information. We also run trade ideas. They give the numbers too, but they're not quite as accurate. And I don't use Ameritrade's numbers hardly at all when it comes to float size. They're always off. They're always a little bit more than what they usually are. So FinViz is where I go to do that. So it's always good to have that on your side when you're looking up technical fundamentals on a stock. And that's what I do on that. And I always use Wahoo for searching when I'm wanting to find news. And like Tesla, for example, Tesla's got some good stuff coming up here on the 21st. If y'all don't know it, they're going to be accepted to the S&P. And I think they're taking I forgot that ticker they were going to take over. I had it down. Well, I remember it. But yeah, on the 21st, this is going to be something for a learning experience. If you've never seen a stock go into the exchange like this, to the S&P, it's something that you want to watch and kind of get an idea of what happens. I think we're going to have a little bitty sell-off, and then we're going to reposition, and then we're going to have a nice little bounce. Is what I'm thinking on Tesla. And we're going to go ahead and pull up the chart and look at it right now. And I'm going to go ahead and start talking about the watch list. Now, there's going to be things that I'm going to be expressing on each one of these charts, and you're willing to ask questions. I want you to have a ticker of your own that you want me to look at, only have one, and then we'll go over it. And once we go over the list, we'll go back over it, and I'll ask again if you have another one. But I'm going to take at least 5 minutes for each one of you to show you how I chart up, how I look for supports, where I think a knife could happen. I'm probably one of the best knife catchers out there, and I only have a few secrets that I'll give away today. And it's something that'll benefit you in the long run, especially if you're stuck in a trade and you maybe want to add on to it, because they're always going to have pullbacks on every breakout. And that's something that you just got to get accustomed to and used to. And I do it. I'm asked, are you in the trade a lot? And I say, no, I'm going to wait until I get into support. My thesis is I buy at support, I sell at resistance. And it's simple. It's not hard to do. You just got to kind of know where the stock's going. We're a room that likes to follow the money. We like to follow the volume. We like to follow the momentum. And we like to play off the news. It's news that will make a stock go up and down. History, even if it's not today, it could have been yesterday's news, or it creates the momentum of a stock. It makes it run. Bad news makes it go down, It's pretty evident about that. Like, hey, we just had an offer in. A lot of times you're in a trade and they got an offer, this thing will jump right down. But there's always some times where you can retrace back up, and especially when the offering is closing. That's when I get bullish in a trade. So yeah, S&P for Tesla. Let's go ahead and see what kind of area. Now I'm just love trading Tesla. It's one of my favorite stocks to trade, and that's no doubt. I've lost only one time on Tesla. Let's see, the Dow Jones was flat. We were more or less flat Friday, so that's a good sign too going into Monday. We're going to have a stimulus package. The biggest catalyst right now, I think, for 2021 is the vaccine. The country's going to get back into running full steam again, probably in the middle of next year. I do believe that. And I've got two different charts I want to use. This one here is my SMA chart, or my EMAs. And everybody has a different moving average they like to use. I like to use moving averages on the SMA, and I want to thank Tony in our room. He turned me, well, I knew what EMAs were, but I never really traded them like I have in the past 3 years. I have the 200, the 100, and you can hope you have a little piece of paper, jot some of this down. You'll definitely pick up something today in this session. We have the 200, we have the 100, we have the 34, and I have the 9. And those are my moving averages. It tells me if a stock's bullish or bearish. So, hello, George. We're going to go ahead and this is going to be one of the charts that I'll be using, and that's called my EMAs. The next one we're going to use is going to be the EMAs. This is going to be the SMAs. Now, I usually use this on a yearly and on a daily chart when I'm studying them. So I've got saved up to a year. And then I'm going to go ahead and put Tesla on here. We might do PayPal too, because it's had a little sell-off. Likes to bounce off that 50, as you've seen, all the way up. So this is just something I go to when I'm first looking at a chart. You notice I cleared it all up. It's all clean. We're going to start fresh. We're going to chart this up for next week. We got a low support down here right around the 572. That's where that last engulfing candle was. So I'm going to be sure to put that in there. I'm drawing, and everybody knows I like to use the bodies of the candles, not the wicks. The wicks are like a confirmation to me. A wick is a weakness. A wick is when the buyers start to fade or the sellers start to fade. If the wick is above the body, a lot of times the buyers or the sellers are taking over. If the wick's on the bottom of the candle, a lot of times the buyers are coming in and taking over and building up some support. So you notice when I did the body of this candle right here, I'm going to magnify this up a little bit more. It touches the top of this candle right here. The wick kind of touches right there. The wick touches right there. So I have a lot of confirmations, and history repeats itself, of a solid support at 573. Now, I called this out in the room all last week at 606. I said that was my entry level. In most cases, it dipped on down to about 602. Now, we do have the top of the body of this candle right here, the base of that, the body of this, and the wick. So I'm going to run a trend line across that. That's going to be my new kind of support level right there around 60. I'm going to adjust it to where it matches up with these two right here. And we have a little bit of leadway on this one right here, but it still holds that wick. So to me, that's a solid support. I want to learn how to catch a knife on Tesla in case these guys come in. The institutions are going to start getting in this trade if they have not already. But once it hits the S&P, they're more or less forced to jump into the trade, the hedge funds. So we're going to draw another trend line right up in here. And I'm not 100% right, and I don't claim to be. Everybody has a different opinion, and that's what's so neat about Wall Street and the way you can trade it. You can develop your own little system. You need to have a checklist of at least 5 of things that you want to do, a strategy, a 5-step strategy to get into a trade, and a 5-step strategy to exit a trade, and if none of them criteria are hit, maybe 3 out of 5 are hit, you're 60% bullish on it. If 4 out of 5 are hit, you're a lot more. And if 5 out of 5 are hit, you're 100% bullish. Anything below that, you have to kind of think about. Then you play on momentum. And I always look for news before I get into any trade. And I've heard Basscat say this before, and I've heard others say this before. You need to have an entry and an exit plan before you get into any kind of trade. You want to have an idea where you think that stock's going to go to. And you want to have an idea where you think you want to exit. Have an exit plan or a strategy. If you need to sweep them into a different date, if you're in options, that's what you got to do. Now, I'm not a very experienced option trader. I try to make it as simple as I can. I have a mass toolbox of different ways to trade. And every given day, I can pull something out of that toolbox and trade. And that's what happens when you start getting more experience. You want to learn more things. You want to learn from people that do have a lot of experience. And you want to learn, and I learn from people that have none. Because I like to take the questions. A lot of times when I take them questions, I don't even know how to answer it. So I'm able to look it up, study it, and add it to my toolbox. So that's basically, I just want to get that little rant out. Have a 5-step plan. I think everybody in here agrees with me on that, right? For ones that don't have a plan, gather one. Get one together. Have an idea how you want to trade. If you just want to trade options, or I can scalp, I can day trade, I can trade the runs. I kind of know where the supports are, and I'll tell you exactly how I find supports in this lesson today. People know me as a chart pattern kind of guy, a technical trader. I'm not much of a fundamentalist, but I do follow the money flow, and I like to follow the tape. The tape is a thing that tells you the time and the buyers that are coming in and out of the trade. If there's more buyers coming in, you'll see more green. If there's less buyers coming in, you'll see more red. It's pretty simple. And then you see maybe a clear, maybe a white. That means they're buying at the bid, or they're buying at the ask when it's green. And you can tell by watching the level 2 what they're buying at. And I always have the level 2 posted, and I always post my news in case some kind of news pops up and I'm watching the trade. I'll know what's causing the tank. A lot of times, George will tell us. He's through our trade exchange we have in our room. We all like to listen to what he's got to say, and I just don't jump into his trades. I look for the news. Just because he said it, I want to verify it. So, and a lot of times they're already spiked, so maybe you want to get in on the support level and take it back up. So we're going to draw another trend line right in here where we had a little bit of equilibrium. Now I call this like a pivot point in between a support and another support. That would be like a pivot point area, which we could pull back to. Then we definitely have our resistances to break. And we're talking about Tesla right now, and I'm going to draw a trend line right there and another one right here. And then I'm done with and then I'm going to go ahead and put a final low support down here around 555. I think that's where I want it to hold. Now I'm looking at this. And I'm seeing this previous high right here. I wanted to color that in red because I think that's very important. Why? Because a lot of stocks pull back to that previous high. And we consolidated there. We tried to break it a couple of times. So that's kind of like a solid little pivot point in this channel. Now you hear me talk about pivot points. Pivot point is a place that will determine if it's going to go down or if the stock's going to go up. It's a pivotal point area. Sometimes a pivot point can become support if you're at resistance. Or sometimes if you're at support, a pivot point can become resistance itself. Once it gets into that resistance area or that pivot point area and starts to consolidate, it will make up its mind either way, if it wants to go up or if it wants to go down. So to me, this is a pivot point area. This is where we had a high and it failed. We tried to do it again, and then she finally broke out. Same as Same as it when it went up. It went up, it pulled back. It found a little support area. And then it found another support area. We had weakness this day, but I traded it on this day and did very well. I didn't trade it Friday. Now, anybody recognize this candle right here? That's called a spinning top. You'll see them. There's another one right there. See what happens when they go up? This here's kind of like a little hammer, kind of like a, there's another little spinning top, but this has got a body. The body's lower, so it kind of consolidated. So you're looking for, a lot of times I look for these spinning tops on a daily for maybe a breakout back up. Low support is going to be right down here at the bottom of this candle. I want to turn this line red to find a support area. And we're going to draw that red. And then that's it. I'm done with this here. I want to go to a 20-day, and I want to look at the 20-day. Now this is how I trade. It's just an idea for you to kind of pick up if you're not an experienced trader, but I want to try to find support levels in knives. See, we consolidated quite a bit over in this area right in here. This pullback right here would be my strong buy. If we pulled back to 555.41, I guarantee it. I'd almost guarantee that we'll bounce back up and hit these other resistance levels. So come Monday, if we pull back to 555, I'm going to be watching this trade very closely. You know, I'm not 100% accurate. It's how the day goes, you know, how what's in the news could cause the whole market to go down. We saw that last week when everything just tanked. And if y'all remember that day, we were all just kind of going numb, you know. Didn't want to get into the puts yet, but we should have at first. But we didn't know what kind of day it was going to be. And then the next day, it was all green. Everything bounced back up. Market makers are saying we're going to have another red day. But with my experience on a day that has a dip like that, and there's no news at all besides COVID, and the market hasn't really reacted to a dip on COVID with the increased cases. Why? Because we got a vaccine coming out. It's a catalyst into 2021. I think we'll definitely have a good year no matter who's president in 2021. I think we'll definitely have a pretty good year. No matter who's going to be governing the country, I still think we're going to be bullish. Because once that vaccine starts getting into people, it's going to just be like a big old booster shot to the economy. Get my pun? Okay, so resistance is going to be right up in here. Let's see if we can break this resistance. But I think we're going to kind of have a little pullback to these lower supports and then break this pivot point area and move on up. And that's going to be Tesla. And there's going to be a couple more that I want to talk about, and then we'll go in and I'll start looking at some of your stocks. Do you think we gap down on Tesla? I think we won't gap down that much. I think we'll pull back. People are going to reposition. And then once it hits the S&P by the 21st, they're all going to be in place, and we're going to have a spike. But this is going to be a learning session next week as we prepare for the next couple of weeks, as we prepare for December the 21st. I think we're going to go sideways and create a channel until then. Right now, I don't think we'll go to 1,000 next year. As everybody knows, I'm very bullish on the EV market. General Motors says they're going to come out in 5 years and build 30 electric cars, different kind of cars. They're going to transform their whole industry, is what they say. And I think a lot of other car industries will be doing the same. In China alone, there's 200 of them. In China alone. And those will thin out, merge next year, and only the strong will survive. And probably NIO will be one of them. NIO just had an offering. But just everybody, and I'll at the end of the video when I'm done and it's recorded, I'll post a link of my EV car watch list down in the comment section. So we've got to pull these three, and during the recording or any time you can stop this recording and write some of these numbers down if you don't write them down right now when we're doing it. So let's go ahead and look at Snap. Vegas is called Snap out. She's been pretty bullish on Snap. Money flows in Snap. Notice I have my chart all clean. Oh, I was going to go back to Tesla. There was something that I wanted to share on Tesla. We weren't done with it yet. We wanted to go to the daily. 1 minute. See, we could have a double bottom right here. This could be another idea, just in case, at around this 597 area, if it does pull back. Remember, that 603 is the pivot point, and then probably that 507 would be your next solid support if we were looking for a double bottom. I talk about chart patterns. Now, if I wanted to say maybe this was going to pull back on an ordinary stock, I would look for that previous day low, and I'd draw me a trend line. And then I would say, in the room, I say, here we are, we're at a double bottom. That's an idea maybe that we could build back up and try to get back to resistance level and break them up to these higher highs. So I always talk about double bottoms and triple bottoms. I like the double bottoms and the triple bottoms. And what I really like is when I see a double bottom and I see a little higher low. Let's say it pulled on back to just a little bit higher than that double bottom. And then I started seeing the candles, looking for a reversal. Let me draw this trend line in here. So I'm kind of wanting to look for reversals when I'm doing this. You know, we had an engulfing candle right back that, but I probably wouldn't jump into the trade until after maybe we built support above this candle right in here. Right in this area right in here. That's probably where I would be. And once we busted past that, that would be my entry level. And look here, we had 3 white soldiers right after that. We had the engulfing candle with 3 white soldiers. And when you have 3 white soldiers, you usually have a pullback to support. And that would be this 598 area where we had to break out. So that's a bullish sign, a small little pullback, and then bam, she went ahead and took off. And I would have stayed in the trade from 598 and maybe ran it all the way up to this double top area right up in here. And if we started seeing some weakness, I would have took it maybe to that 200 and got out of the trade. I use that 200 a lot. Now this is on a daily 1 minute. I use that as a resistance level a lot. You'll hear me call it out in the room. I'll say I'm going to take it to the 200 SMA. And if you took this trade at 597 or got in here around 598, 599, you could have got out of the trade around 609, and I guarantee you that would have been if you were in the right option, that would have been a $200-300 scalp or more. Just from that. The options are really nice on Tesla if you can get in at the bottom. Another indicator of why I would take the trade on the second pullback, that is if this was higher than this. So I always like to draw me a little trend line, and that's another indicator to me that the stock's bullish on that second pullback. You know, I'll draw this trend line, and a lot of times I'll just go ahead and extend it on out to the right. And a lot of times it'll follow that trend line all the way up. And here we are sitting with another pattern right here. I talk about the 3 black crows. This is on a minute. See, a lot of people don't see this because they don't look at that minute time frame. That minute time frame can get you into a trade before a 5-minute time frame, or before a 15-minute time frame, or a 30-minute time frame. That 1 minute can get you in that trade way before others even think about getting into it. So I'm looking at that 1 minute. I want to get in that trade 2 to 3 minutes faster, or 5 minutes faster than the other traders get into the trade. And there's traders out there like me that do the same thing. They study that 1 minute chart. So I always have that 1 minute in front of me. I have that 20-day, 1 hour chart, and then I have the yearly daily. And then when I'm looking for resistance levels, I'm not going to be able to do it with Tesla, I don't think, but let me see here. A lot of times I'll pull up, if I'm looking for a resistance level, I'll pull up a 3-year. But Tesla just had that split. This sucker called it out at $250, and it ran all the way up to around $2,000. I'm telling you right now, we're set to run this thing back up to $1,000. And there's a lot of other bulls out there. Kathy Woods, I think she said 7, 10, 15,000 one time by the time it's said and done. To me, Tesla's my #1 EV trade. So let's go ahead and start talking about some others. We're going to talk about Snap. Snaps had that nice little breakout on Friday. If it wanted to pull back, it could pull back to this low support right here at 47.83. Let me change this around. For the ones that just entered the room, my name's Washboard Jim. I've got about 16 years experience behind me, and I follow good traders and I follow bad traders. I like to learn from them all. We're going to draw a few trend lines in here for support levels. I'm looking for the bodies of the candlesticks for solidness. And we're going to take this to the 20-day. We're going to look at the 20-day. I know within 10 seconds if I want to take a trade or not by looking at the yearly chart. I know within 10 seconds if I want to take it any farther or not. We got a support level right here on the 20-day, right there at 50.92. That can pull back to that. I've set an alert here at 52.29. Maybe that's where I want to take my trade if it holds that support. You can see why. I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Right there, you see where it kind of pulled back right in here. Found real solid support. Now I'm going to magnify this up. I've got a pretty good eye. But if you magnify it up, you see I put it right on every one of them bodies. I didn't worry about the wicks. The bodies is where all the mustard is. The bodies is where it really matters. The wicks is a gift. I'll go ahead and put that down there if I want to. Let me see. I'll wait. The resistance we got to break is going to be at 53.50. I'm not going with the wick. I'm going with the body of the candle. That's going to be the hard resistance. The wick is, after we break that, then I'll say we got to break 53.85. Now I'll pull up the year's chart on this, or a 3-year chart. We're at a 3-year high. Comprehendo? And we've had a beautiful breakout on this stock. COVID was a big reason why this stock started running. So we're into the COVID phase. And I think it'll go ahead and consolidate. A lot of these tech stocks will consolidate and still be good trades. And we just got to play the dips on them and the volatility. Let's go to the 1 minute. We got a resistance right here, 53.79. We have, okay, see right here where we've had this little double bottom right in here? We're going to put that as a little magnet, a little force field right there. Then I'm going to bring it down here to this lower support that we had down in here. See where we topped up right in there? See that? That was like a little resistance level. And just follow it all the way across. It pulled right back to that resistance level. So that's a support level. We're going to put that in there. And I think that's about where I said we were going to be, is right down here around 52.28 is where I want to get into the trade if it decides to knife. I don't see any chart patterns in here. Let's go to the 20-day and take a look at it real fast. See, all I see here is a diagonal pattern, and I see an upward climb, and I see a fish hook. They call this a J hook. I call it a fish hook because I like to fish with a double bottom. See that double bottom appeared? Once that happened, it had the breakout. So they always pull back, hit that 50, and then it pulled back again to a double bottom. Look at what makes it so interesting. You see over here where we had all these highs right here, where it consolidated for 2 days. So that found support at this resistance level last week. That's why I always like to pull that 20-day chart up, and I get a good vision where I think the stock can pull back to. So, and then we've got another one right here. So if I'm going to say this thing's going to knife, I'm going to take it back to the beginning of the breakout. And I'm going to say this channel that consolidated is where I think the stock can pull back. I've got another confirmation on this chart. Can anybody see it? Remember, I've got the 200 and the 50 SMA. Anybody in this room see my confirmation of this channel right here? It's that 200. As that 200, so I've got another confirmation. Remember I talk about 5 confirmations. I've got a pattern. I've got a moving average. I've got the news. I've got COVID. This is a COVID play. And then I've got the money flow. So I've got 5 reasons why I'd want to get into this trade. And if I wanted to add another one, I'd add volume. But volume comes with money flow. That's why I like to watch the tape. See, I know I've read so much tape in my life that I don't need to know what institution's buying into a trade because I can see it going through here. I can see if they're selling it or if they're buying it. I can see how big the lots are. If I'm seeing like 5,000 shares bought at 1,000 shares bought at a time, 10,000 shares bought at a time, I'm very interested. If I'm only seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm just seeing little tibbets coming in here trying to short it or trying to bring it down. And so the bigger the blocks, the more excited I get about it. And that's the same way as when they sell. Because you start seeing them big blocks and you get some bad news, you might want to buy a put on it. So I'm always looking for chart patterns. I had a confirmation of the 200 right here. That's going to be a solid support. Now I want to remember this, so I'm going to color it in. And you're able to do that with Thinkorswim. I do use TOS for my charting. That's going to be my knife entry. That's going to be my strong buy. Now I've got 2 other support levels right here. This will be my first one. I'm going to go ahead and chalk that in with red. That's going to be my first support. Then the second one's going to be right here. It's going to be the pivot point in this channel. Remember what I talked about pivot points. We have resistance. We had resistance. Then we had support. That's a pivot point. That'll be the pivot point in this channel. That's going to be your strong second alert. That's going to be your second support. That's called a pivot point. You want to always, when you're drawing out a channel, you want to try to find a pivot point, an equilibrium. This channel here, it's going to be right in here. Right there, see? Well, come on. I got to turn this up. I want to try to find an equilibrium in between this channel right here, so I'm looking right there. It's where we had that big engulfing candle. We had resistance, and then we have like an equilibrium in here on this little channel. So that's a pretty strong pivot point. But we don't want it to go any lower than this 47.71, okay? First, second, there's your knife. If it falls in this channel, and we're going to have us a strong buy, and then we're going to build a channel and break resistance. The resistance to break is going to be this high up here at 53.85. That's snap. JMIA, yes, we'll do JMIA. Okay, let me think of a couple more that I want to look at, and then we'll go ahead and start looking at all yours. But remember, we're looking for chart patterns. We're looking for 5 reasons to get into the trade. We want to know when we want to get into the trade, and we already know when we want to exit the trade. Now, if we're at a 52-week high, we just ride it out. I'm not that good at playing 52 weeks high. I'd rather pay the pullback, buy at support, and sell at resistance. But it depends on the tape and the momentum and what's going into the trade is how I'm going to trade the trade. And I got to read the news. So that's snap. Let me think of another one here. Close my eyes. Okay, I've got one. DBX. Anybody get in that trade with me Friday? I got in this trade. I started seeing the momentum first thing in the morning. I jumped into the trade right around the 22.40. Well, it was a little bit less than that. I think it was right down here, right around the $22 level. Once we had that last engulfing candle, that's when I got into the trade. I was alerted by another member of another room. Messaged me and said, Jim, look at this stock. It's going to get ready to do something. So I looked at it and I didn't hesitate. I jumped right into the stock because I've been wanting to trade drop box for a long time. Vegas called this back on the 27th. We were talking about it last night, right about in here. You see it had initial breakout. She got into the trade because of an alert that we got from the volumes option alert that we got from George. And we alerted it in the room. And then 2 weeks later, it had the huge breakout. But people were getting an idea that this thing was moving up. And it did break the resistance level of right down here on the 20-day. So it was a good alert. It was an options alert that had a lot of volume on it. And then it went ahead and then we had the big news that maybe there might be a hostile takeover or a buyout or a sellout or somebody wants to get into the company. and it just started taking off. That was the rumor. Now, everybody knows rumor is just speculation. So people were jumping in this trade up here after hours and still riding it up. And I was just going, it got to be crazy. There's no news out on this stock. Except it has been in the news lately. And that's probably what got the attention of someone wanting to buy them out. So and I do have another chart that I use too, and I'm going to share it with you. Anybody that has TOS, I might put this link down in the comments section. It's a customized chart that I have with the Fibonacci set up on it. And I like to look for it when I'm having nice little breakouts like this. And this is Tesla. We don't want to look at Tesla. We're looking at DBX. I might go ahead and put this down in the comments section if you have TOS, and then you'll have this link and you can add it to your portfolio. But a lot of times I look for a 50% pullback, and that's this red line right here, and this is about where I got into the trade at. I don't want to see. I want to get out of this trade first thing in the morning. I'm definitely in it in my challenge account. I was up 20, I think like $32 into close, and now I'm going to be up a couple $100 if I can keep it up at $24. And I'll go ahead and get the out. I got 2 contracts, might be more than 200 a contract, who knows. But we'll find out Monday morning. So I'm going to bring this up to the daily, and I'm going to look for places of support. I kind of already drawn it up pretty good. I'm going to think right down in here would be another little support area, this 2350, where we had that top and that pullback. So I'm going to draw that up in a red line too. I have a feeling it's going to pull back some more, but I'm not sure. It might just hold this 200 and run on up. This is my EMA chart. It might just run on up after it holds that and then kind of consolidate in this little area of $24. I think if somebody's going to take them over, it's going to be at the $24 level. That's what I'm thinking we're going to end up. Now we'll see Monday if we don't open right here right around $24. That's DBX. Keep it on your watch list. I think this is going to be a good trade next week. Okay. Let me think of one more, and then we'll go to business here. We'll look at my EV car one. I'm going to do NIO. I always look, when I'm doing my watch list, I always like to pull up the volume. See, we've kind of had a red day Friday, as you can see, on the EV car watch list. Workhorse, I think somebody's going to want to talk about it. I see Solo's pulled back again. Let's do Solo, and then we'll talk about Workhorse and some others. We're down here at a support level that I have on the chart. We're going to look at the 20-day and see why I called it there. It's because of this bottom right in here. I have a low support right down here, probably right there at that 605 area. That's where that bottom, that double bottom is. We're going to start consolidating and maybe start to move back up from here. That's that 627. I think we can take it back up to this. This was an ascending triangle right here. A lot of times when I'm talking stocks and we have a nice little breakout above ascending triangle, I'll call that a support area. So when we had that nice little breakout, it did pull back to that support area. And then we've had a little bit of sell-off into this little channel down here. But a lot of times, I talk about the chart pattern, ascending triangle, you have the nice little breakout, many times it'll pull back to that. But I want to clean this up. We're going to start fresh. I want to show you how I chart this up. We're going to look at the yearly. Now listen, had Centron News to sell off. It did sell off. Now we're finding an equilibrium. I don't want to see it go any lower than this previous high we had right here. We're at 517 if I was going to catch the knife. If it decided to pull back hard, then you have this engulfing candle right here, where that also pulled back right there. Then you're going to be looking for resistance levels now. And we're going to just keep building it on up. And then you have this top right in here, and we're going to draw that one in. So that's going to be like our little target, this little channel right in here. Anything past that's going to be a gift. We're going to color that in. I want to color that in. That's going to be a hard resistance for me because, you know, we just couldn't break that. We couldn't break that. Then I'm going to fine tune it right down here to this other candle. Whoop. This is how we kind of catch knives. And then we're going to start working on all your stocks. I'm just kind of looking at it right now, trying to find some other places in here. Let's pull up the 20-day. I mean, yeah, the 20. Yeah, that's going to be the resistance. Then we got a support level right back in here. In case it doesn't hold this $6 level, we'll draw it right in here. Bam. See these places right in here? That's going to be like a little support area. I could bring that up just a little bit. Let me do that. Remove drawing. I'm using the bodies. Then we'll go to the daily 1 minute. Right there, and then we got place right up in here. We're pulled back pre-market, and then she just gave up. That's a pretty ugly sell-off, I'd say, Friday. And I would have not took this trade right here. The fact is, because it had a lower, it was lower than the previous low we had. But once it broke this resistance level right in here, maybe, I would have took the trade. I would have probably took it right here. Once it pulled back to that spot, to where this previous high was, I would have took that trade and probably run it all the way up to here. That'd have been a 20-cent trade, so it probably wouldn't have been worth my time. I want to wait for this thing to pull back in here and then probably swing it long. This would be a swing trade for me if it got back down here to 629 on solo. So there's my watch list. This is the one I'll share in the room. I'll share it down in the comments section. I have to walk the dog. What dog are you talking about? Okay, I'm going to go through some of these tickers right now. Anybody get anything out of that? Say yay. I'm going to drink some coffee and then we're going to get started on your all's tickers. We got 29 people in here. Appreciate that. I'm Washboard Jim. I've been trading for 16 years. I'm not the best out there or the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm self-taught. But I'm very good at finding supports and finding resistance levels, and I always emphasize to anybody to have a 5-step plan before they begin trading. Paper trade for 3 months. If it takes you a half a year to finally get up a system, then that's how you do it. Don't just start throwing your money away. And don't jump into a trade blindly. Too many people do that. Then they ask, why is it going up? You got to have a reason why you want to get into the trade. That's my biggest pet peeve out there right now, is going into a trade blindly and not having a reason why you're getting into it. You got to have a reason. That'll change your whole life. And I'll tell you what's changed mine in the past 3 years, and that's really getting down and studying chart patterns. You know, I talk about them all the time. I want to throw a few of them out here for you. We're going to throw a few of them out here for you. This is my famous ascending triangle. A lot of times, I like a strong ascending triangle. To me is when you have 3 tops. And then it pulls back to the third one. When you have 3 tops, and it pulls back to the final trend line where you have higher lows, you have a little bit of diversity right here with the volume going down. That means the buyers are taking over. This is down on your volume bar. When you start having lower volume and then you start having higher lows, it's another strong triangle. Now you notice once it breaks the triangle, it pulls back to that horizontal line. So if you missed the trade, you missed the breakout, wait, have a little patience, give it a few minutes, have it pull back to that horizontal line, and get back in that trade. That's just one of the many, many patterns that I like to follow. You know, I've got, this is another pattern that I like to show. It's called the engulfing bar. You have 3 black crows, and then all of a sudden you have a big engulfing pattern. You have 3 white soldiers, and a lot of times the bodies are bigger. This is just a rough estimate, spinning top, but every body is above the other one. Bullish. But after you get about 3 of them, you're going to have a little sell-off. You have your bearish engulfing bar again, and you'll start that whole cycle over again. A lot of times. Usually when I see 3 big old engulfing candles, I'll get out of the trade right then and there, unless I think it's going to run up more. You know, then I go to my other patterns. This is another pattern that I really like and I talk about a lot. It's called the pennant flag. You're coming up from the bottom, and then you build a little flagpole, and you do the same thing. You start building higher lows, and then all of a sudden it starts to squeeze. People say, you know, I say we're getting ready to squeeze. We're getting ready to squeeze because we're tightening up here. We're starting to tighten up. I'm going to get a drink. Oh, I love water. That's my new Yeti cup. So that's called a pennant flag. That's a bullish flag. Then you had the breakout. So learning chart patterns can make a big difference. See, here's another example. 3 white soldiers, 3 black crows. 3 black crows, 3 white soldiers. 3 white soldiers, 3 black crows. Spinning top. It had a spinning top here too, but the next candle didn't. It's bearish pattern. Spinning top here, the candle was above that spinning top. Bullish. Jump in the trade as it starts to pull back. Get in that trade. Take it up until you catch another, until you get your 3 white soldiers out of the way. Talk about them a lot. This is a descending pattern. It comes from the top and moves on down. You have a consolidated area with lower highs, and then she goes ahead and tanks. And a lot of times these can be inversed. It can come up from the bottom and form a flag like this. This is called an inverse descending pattern. Inverse means just the opposite. It's bullish. As you can see, inverse head and shoulders. We have the triple bottom. I'm looking for triple bottoms. I'm looking for ideas to get into a trade. One, you know, a little patience, unless it broke out of that resistance level of that previous high, previous low. Then you had the breakout. 1, 2, 3, triple bottoms. Same as a triple top. You have it coming up, then you have your triple top. This is your neckline. If it doesn't hold that neckline, I'm out of the trade. Me? I'm usually out of the trade on the double top. I don't want to hesitate and try to take a risk and get out of the triple top and it fail, and me turn my head, look at another stock, and be out of the trade. Once I'm in a trade, I'm watching it pretty much. I don't like holding a lot of stocks. My average is 3. 3 at all times. I can't do any more than 3 because I don't have the brain capacity to do that. I just have to do what fits my pattern best, and it works for me. Same here. You know, come up from the bottom, it failed. You just got to watch them, you know, you got to watch them, the volume and the tape that's coming in. That's a descending triangle with a reversal. I mean, this thing can just pull back and have a fake out and then run up. Let me think of any more in here and then we'll go ahead and move on. Oh yeah, this is a very common one. People want to watch. When you're coming from the bottom and then you have a big breakout, this is a bullish flag. It'll kind of consolidate a little bit, and you want to watch your volume bar and see how your volume is doing too, and then you have the breakout. Now coming from the top, it's just the opposite. When you're pulling back and you see a little rise up, a lot of times I'll pull back a little bit more. That means people are stuck in the trade and trying to get out of it, trying to build up, cost average down and get out of the trade. Just the opposite here. It's bullish because people are breaking out on the stock, and then you have sellers getting out and buyers coming in. And then you have but you see the difference between the patterns of the two. It's always good to look for these two patterns when you're studying patterns, and studying these candlesticks can really change technical traders the way they're approached to a trade. And then I'm able to look at the candlestick patterns and find out what's bullish and what's bearish just by looking at them. These are minute candles to me. These could be daily ones. If you're working off of a yearly chart, you could be studying on a daily. But I always like to look at the minute, and I look at the day. If I see 3 black crows or 3 white soldiers or 3 black crows on a yearly, I'm going to be very interested in that chart, in that stock. That's 3 days that it's had a sell-off. And I have a 3-day, 5-day, and 7-day rule. A lot of times, 3 days, I'm out of the trade if it's going up. A lot of times, I can't take another one. Here you got a hammer right here. You got dojis right here. Dragonfly, you could go for an uptrend. Gravestone, you go to a downtrend. But always be good to start when you're seeing breakouts. Go back to the chart. Go back to the chart and figure out what's causing these breakouts. This was a spinning top. The spinning top busted past the resistance level, and this pattern right here probably pulled back a few times and found support on the top of this spinning top, made it bullish. So I always like to look at stocks that have a pattern, that had breakouts, and look for the reversals on them. And that'll improve your trading 100%. Guarantee it. So let's go ahead and start looking at stocks that you like, and I'm going to write them on down. That was my little brief message that has improved my trading in the last 3 years, is learning chart patterns and studying candlesticks, looking for the reversals. Okay, let me see. Okay, we're going to start off with shrimp. Vegas and I took shrimp one time and run it all the way up to $1. Anybody know what shrimp is? It's a little thing that crawls in the ocean. Or it could be a punk. Who knows? So I'm going to look for places in here. It did have a nice little breakout on Friday, so I think it could find some kind of support level. And then, because we had this big wick right here, this is a bearish candle in a way, and I think it can pull back a little bit more. Where I think it can pull back to the beginning of that breakout. That's going to be right here at 1825. Shrimp is a company that breeds shrimp on land, and I think shrimp is the most ate fish or creature out of the ocean right now. Everybody loves shrimp. It's definitely number one. And we're going to put a little support level right in here. I like this a lot. I think if it pulls back, it can pull back to this ascending triangle. Remember I talk about chart patterns? See this trend? I'm going to also draw a trend line right here to hold support. I'm going to draw a trend line right here because I want it to hold support. So we take this and we just run it up to the bottom of this wick right here. Then we're going to go ahead and extend it on out to the right. That's going to be a low support area. We did break out of that, see? But I'm going to follow that all the way up to the right. That's going to be like a little low support. So that's a double confirmation. The top of this ascending triangle right here. You see what I'm saying when I say ascending triangle? We had that breakout, and then she busted above that ascending triangle. So that's going to become like a solid support area at 1750. That's where we want it to hold. If not, we'll pull back to the other 3 support levels. And this is going to be one right here at 1685. Oh, Pocky Hawk. I need to change this. Right there. So that's going to be your low support. Your lower support channel is going to be right here off another sending triangle. We had them higher lows right in here. So there's two sending triangles in a triangle. Then we have this low support down here where it has to hold, where we consolidated in this channel right here. So right under 16 is going to be a strong buy. I got a new mouse. So it's pretty wicked. Here, I'm going to turn this red. That's going to be a strong buy at 1592. That's where it consolidated. This is going to be your pivot point right at 1752. That's where we want it to hold. Then you have three. If it doesn't hold this, we have support number 1, 2, and 3. And if it pulls back to this and starts to bounce up, we have resistance levels 1, 2, and 3. And then long to break back up at 20 cents. I think I told a friend of mine, if we go to 20, that's going to be your resistance level when we were down under right around 10 cents. So that's a 100% gain on that trade. Low support, 1592. I'm bullish on shrimp. Pivot point, 1752. Resistance to break, 1951. Let's go ahead and pull up the yearly chart. I mean, there's nothing in here in the year. Let's go back 3. Now you'll see something different. This is the run that Vegas and I took, all the way up to $1. All the way up to $1. So when I'm drawing resistance levels, and we broke that 21 cents, I'm going to be drawing trend lines in here. This is something that everybody needs to pick up. This is, am I still live? Looks like I'm frozen here. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm still live. That's funny. We're going to draw resistance. I'm still live, right? Yeah, I live. I live. I'm alive. So I'm going to look for resistance levels on shrimp. And I'm going to go back 3 years to find these. You wonder, how does he find those resistance levels? I'm going back in time. So I'm going to draw a trend line right here. I'm going to draw one. Now see where these two candles right here were? Let's magnify this up a little bit. You see this? That's a solid little resistance right there. A solid little resistance right there. And then we got a long wrap around here. I don't see it going up that fast, that hard. But from 21, we can take it to 23.93 and maybe get up here right around 27. So those are the next resistance levels we're going to be looking for. And I'm going to be using the wicks. I'll also be tapping into the wicks too on this 3-year chart. And you see what I'm saying right there? And those will become resistance levels too as we start to climb up the chart. Now I've got them all in here. I can go back to the year and I can magnify it up a little bit. And I can look at my support levels. I go back a ways on this 3-year, and this is another little spot. You know, earlier I said this could be your support level. Now that I look at this, that 1650 could be one too. Could be a pretty good little spot for it maybe to stop on the way back. Then we're going to put one more right in here. Kind of confusing, you think? It's not. This is going to be your pivot point area right around 1752. Then I've got the 3 other support levels right here and the other 3 resistance levels right here. And once we break that, we're moving on up. So shrimp's out of the way. Let's start looking at a few others before I start running people out of here because I didn't get to your stock. Let's see. ADBE. I was looking at that one last week. I forgot why. We're into it already, an hour and 10 minutes, so it's all charts from here on out. Okay, I'm looking at the 20-day. Let's look at the yearly first. See what kind of run we've had on this. We've got a downward trend. We've got an equilibrium. So I'm going to try to find a support level. I'm going to clear this out. This goes all the way back to 2019. And we're going to try to find a solid little support level right here. I'm looking at this is the first thing that popped in my eyes. And I'm just running it all the way across. Then I'm going to try to find one a little bit lower, and that's going to be right in this area right in here. And then we've got a low right down here. I don't think it's going to touch this 200 at all. That's the EMA. Man, I got all these things up here I don't need here. You gotta make some room. Where's my chart at? Well, give me a second here. I want to look at this. I want to look at my SMAs on a yearly, see where we are. 422, I can't see it going down to 422 unless something real bad happens. But you see where that 200 climbs right up over here. Okay, this is your solid support. If it does go down here, I don't think it's going to. I think we can stop right here, right around the 460 area. I want to turn that red. Then I want to put one more right in here. I'm looking for little spots in here where we had kind of like a little channel. That's going to be a support level right there. Then resistance is going to be right, another one right here. Right there, let's go to the 20-day. I got a spot right in here. Oh, this is beautiful right down here. You see where we had this triple bottom? 1, 2, 3. Off the bodies of the candles, not the wicks. Triple bottom, and she went ahead and broke out. This is a sign that we were going to have a sell-off. This lower high, right here, from this one down here to here, that's when I would, if I would have wanted to hang into the trade, and we finally had that second high come up here and it didn't break this one, that would have been my exit. And you can see what happened. Then we found another double bottom back here and started to build up. So we're finding an equilibrium in this channel. It pulled back to this triple bottom support and held. Resistance to break is going to be probably as 477. If we can get past that, we'll go up to this higher tier right up in here where we had all this resistance. And we're going to kind of equilibrium that out to around 480. Tricky mouse. Right there around 423. Then we got to try to break resistance right here at 483. See this right here? That's going to be a hard resistance. I think we're consolidating and we're going to start to move back up. I'm bullish on ADBE. I'm very bullish on this stock. No lower than this previous highs we had here on the 20-day at 469.92 where it found resistance. That becomes a solid support. That will become a very solid support area if you're wanting to get into the trade. Look for confirmation. Always check out the news. But I think if we pull back to this area right here, we do not get back into this other channel, we can start to build it back up and find a resistance level to break right here at this 477.86 area. Why? I'll show you. It's because we tried to break it before and we couldn't, and it's an equilibrium in between this channel right in here. That's like a pivot point. So that will become a hard resistance at 477.86. If we break that, we can get back up to 483, and that's maybe a place where you want to take your exit. No lower than 460 for a strong buy. And let's find a little equilibrium right in here. Bam. Let's see if we can hold that 469.92 and break resistance at 477.86. Bullish on ADBE. Next. That help you out there, Johnson? NIO. Next week down to 38. We'll see. We'll see. NIO had an offering, right? NIO had an offering. Every time we pulled down to this 40.82, we bounced up. That's what I called in the room as a solid support. It's right around this 482. I'm going to do something real fast right here. Give me a second. This is confusing me. Almost looks like we got two of these things going on. Much better. There's a 7-second delay on this too, just in case you're wondering. Let's go ahead and look at the yearly. Right there at 38 is what you're talking about. 38.74. I think that could be it. We had this spinning top, then you had the huge breakout. That spinning top, I talk about that a lot. On a daily. See, that's on a daily. So that's a bullish candle right there. That's bullish. So let's bring it back to the top of that spinning top. Right there, 38. Man, you're spot on. Spot on with that one. I'm looking at the 3-month. Yeah, we're going to pull back to this right in here. Right around the $38 area for a strong buy. 38 to 38.74. Then we got a little spot right here, but let's bring this to the 20 now. If this does not hold, this 40.82, we'll go back to these other two support levels. 38.74 and 37.72. And then maybe retrace it back up to that 40.82 area. That'll become a hard resistance if we break below that. If we hold this, that 43.80 area is going to be the hard resistance to break. Now, there's a lot of bulls on this trade, and there's a few bears. I'm on the bearish side of the trade. I'm not on the bullish. I like Tesla. NIO is a hard one to trade unless you can find the support and follow the trend. We really enjoyed this when we called it out in the room at $2, and it ran all the way to 58.81. So that's irrational. It's a China play. They don't have a factory, and they're asking for money. That's a bearish indicator to me to take the trade. I would only take it right now on money, on volume, on trend. That's the only way I would want to take this trade. If it started to trend up, I would take it. And then if it fell back to support, I would take it. So I'm 70% bullish, 65 to 70% bullish on NIO. I've always been, but I've followed it all the way up, and I've done pretty well with it. And I've called this out pretty good in the room too. So I got out of the trade. I don't know if it was NIO. No, it wasn't NIO. It was something else that I got out of it right at the high Friday. But so yeah, resistance to break here at 43.80 area. Support if it pulls back no lower than at 37.72 to 38.74. And then run it back to resistance. If we turn around on the double bottom and make a triple, it can pull back and find equilibrium here at that 43.80, and then maybe bust past it up to these higher highs, no higher than 46.86 if it does to start to become bullish and get some good news. And that's NIO. Next, let me see. We got shrimp. We got NIO. Appreciate everything you do. Thank you very much, Native. I appreciate that. DMLK, what you got going on? Jim, I don't know if you, but would you do F-Cell? I sure will. I like F-Cell. I've got her charted up already. We've had a descending pattern. She is finding support right here at 767. We have a strong buy down here at 683 for the double bottom. We've touched down there a few times. Savvy? Jot down that 683 on F-Cell for a retracement back up. We've got an equilibrium. We have a head and shoulders to the neckline right here. So it's really important that we hold this 768. If we don't, we'll pull back to 683, take the trade at 683, and run it back up to this resistance here at 765. That's what you got to break. I'm using, and now I talk about this a lot. Let's say we started at the bottom and we moved up, and they become resistance levels. We finally find a resistance level. These old resistance levels now become support. So I use them on the way down. Same as if you break the pivot point and you're up here at resistance, these old resistance levels again will become support. Same thing as here. The old resistance levels will become support. Same way as moving it up. These start to become resistance levels. So I'm using history, a 20-day history on this one right now to determine if I want to stay in the trade. On a 20-day chart, hard resistance is right here, right around $9. And then I'm going to have to do something, go use the restroom here in a second. So we got to pull back here at 783 for a strong buy to stay in the channel. Then we've got a resistance to break right here at 849. I want to look for an equilibrium in this channel. So by doing that, I'm going to look for previous resistance levels and previous support levels, and that's right here. So when I say equilibrium, I'm looking at a pivot point on F-Cell. I want this pivot point to hold at 767 to bring it back up to 853. That's the previous resistance. And then anything above that's going to be a gift. Now you did have a nice little top right here, right past 886. But for right now, if we hold 767, we'll take it back up here to around 856 area. Okay? 853. And that's going to be your equilibrium in this channel. If we can break past that pivot point, we'll take it to the higher tier of 936. I'm bullish on F-Cell, big time. And I'm going to take just a few minute break, and I'll be right back. Grab you some water. And then I'm going to be looking at the next one is going to be, yes, this will be recording. This will be recorded. And it will pop up an hour or two after. And the next one is IIPR. I'm going to type that in here. I'm looking at every one of them you asked me to look at today that I have time for. And if I have to extend the time period, I will. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's go ahead and check out what size of float this is. It's a 21 million float. We could pull back to this 50, but I'd be, if I was wanting to really swing it long, I played off that 50. I want to check out the news. Cannabis gainers. Joshi expand facility, great 100 jobs. Property cars, California, 25 million. Yeah, this is a big deal right here. Growing marijuana. They have a price target to 170 from 125. So we're getting up to that price target. We're building a sideways channel, and we have a resistance level right here at 161.15. See that right there? Not using the wicks. I'm using the body of the candle. You see where we kind of slid up? Oh, what's this? Anybody know what that is? That thing right there? It's called a spinning top. I bet you this thing get ready to break out. But it's in the pot sector, so you have to give it a little bit of volatility. A little bit of volatility needs to be added to this trade. So if we were going to try to find a support level, we do have a double top. We do have like a higher lows in the last week and a half. And the very bullish pattern right here with the spinning top at the very end. So we're going to try to find an equilibrium of support level, and that's going to be right down here at 155.21, where we had all these bases. It just couldn't break it, but then it found support off that base. So that's going to be your low support. Now I'm going to draw equilibrium in between here. And that's going to be right here. That's where we had these here. And we had this gravestone candle right here. Let's bring us to the 20-day now. See if I missed anything on this. Will totally, in fact, I got to draw one more line right here. Sometimes you can overexert yourself and miss things. So you don't want to be doing that. You want to, once you get it lined out and charted out, you want to look it over one more time. Now we're going to bring it to the 20-day. This is how I look for support levels and resistance levels and try to catch knives. We got a solid support down here at 150. We've got a solid support right here where we tried to break out a few times. I'm going to go ahead and throw another line right in here. Yeah. That's where I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to put another one right here. So I got my 3 support levels that I want to hold. And this other one's going to be basing it on this area right in here. And as you see, it matches up pretty much, finds an equilibrium in this channel right in here too. So basically, I want it to hold this area right in here. It's going to be like your low support, this 156. I'll show you why. It's because we had these tops right here. Then we have an equilibrium in this channel. Then we had the pullbacks to right in here, which creates a solid support at 156.41. That's your third support. Your second one's going to be right here at 157.85. And then the first one to hold at 159.21 with a resistance to break. It's going to be right here at 162.95 if it decides to go up. I think we're setting up, I would almost call this an ascending triangle. I'll show you why. This is another, see, I'm noticing little things as I go. I'm noticing little things as we go on up. It's a little ascending triangle. So I'd give this thing another day or two, and if we come back up here like on Tuesday, or if we decide to break out Monday, I would probably go ahead and take the trade if it pulled back to this bottom tier of this trend line right here. I followed that trend line You see how I drew that trend line on up? And it matches up with this trend right here at 159.21. So if that held, I would probably go ahead and take the trade and run it up to this resistance level at 162 from 159.21. That's going to be my solid support. Strong buy going to be that red line at 156.41. This is IIPR. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. CLSK is a beauty, George says. There's another one that says it. Let's look at CLSK. Next. Anybody tell me what the float on it is before I look it up? I'll look it up. I always want to look it up. I want to know myself what float we're dealing with here. Then I'm going to look at the news. I'm gathering enough information. What didn't it come in? CLSK. Why not? Why ain't it coming in? What's going on here? Oh. Something happened. A little delayed reaction. We got a 15 million float. That's reasonable to me, enough to hold its gains. The lower the float, now check this out. The lower the float, the more volatility you'll have in trade. The higher the float, the less volatility you'll have. I call a low float stock 25 million or less. That's how my scanners are set up, for 25 million or less. 25 million, you'll have less volatility, you'll have less volume. Lower float, you'll have more volatility and more volume, and you'll have your pumpers in there. Always remember, when you're looking at a 2 million float, pump and dump. Pump and dump. Doesn't matter what the news is or whatever. You're going to have a lot of traders in there getting in and out of it and scalping it. You're going to have front loaders in the trade, and you're going to have people that are going to take profit once it spikes. So don't try to jump into a real low float trade unless you really know how to find the support level on it, or you know what you're doing. You don't want to turn your back on it. Not cutting down people that pump stocks or anything. I'm just saying you got to recognize what a pump is and what a pump ain't. The lower the float, the more pumpers you're going to have in the trade. And that's just the way it is. So let's go ahead and look at it. The chart. Oh, darn, man. I've hardly ever looked at this stock. I doubt if it's even charted. Cleans. Now, this is a clean energy trade. They've got a price target to 24 bucks on it by Wainwright. We're at 16 right now. Yeah, this is a good looking chart. So let's look for patterns and let's look for resistance levels. We've got a nice little support right down here. We're going to think about maybe catching a knife on this one. Or look here, found support right here. See? The previous high. Look what it did. You see where the body, that's why I'm saying always pay attention to the previous highs of the day before and draw a little support level on there. It's going to be right here. See how we pulled back right to that? I'm using not the wick, the body. The body of the candle. Now you see right down here, the body of the candle almost touched that wick. That's a support channel. Then we're going to have a third support right down here where we had the engulfing candle right there. See, we pulled back to it many a times to that support level off the body of that candle, not the wick, the body. Then you got the body right down here. The wick is a sign of weakness. You ever watch a candle and watch the wick? The wax finally starts to melt and the wick gets bigger. And then before you know it, all the wax is gone. And then you got nothing to burn. As long as there's a body in it, you still have volatility. You still have a play. See what happened here? You little bitty body and a lot of wick. Look what happened. Picture that in your mind. That's another reason why the body of the candle is more important than just the wick. You see, you're still showing sign of weakness. The wicks are bigger than the body. Then when the body starts to build, you start to consolidate inside that body. But for right now, you don't know where this thing's going to go until you find another support level. Then you had that confirmation down here on these two right in here. So let's look at this 20-day one more time. Let's look at the 1 minute. See if I missed anything on the 1 minute. We got some resistance levels right up here. Looking for a consolidated area. Right, bam, right in there. Bam. And then another, whoop. Another one right here. That's going to be a hard resistance right there. Let's go back to the 20-day, and then we're going to give a final conclusion. I'd like to see it hold this equilibrium right here for your first support. That's where we had that previous high, right at 1567. If we hold that, it'll go ahead and retrace back up to 1696, around 17, and exit. That's $1.40 right there. If it pulls back to support level, no lower than 14 bucks, and then you run it back up to these resistance levels and find that PP at 1567, then that will become a hard resistance. So resistance to break 17, strong buy at 14 with a pivot point right at 1567. Anything below that is a buy, first, second, and third support. Then you got your first, second, and third resistance. Anything above that's a gift. A gift. That's CLSK. I like it. I think it'll go on up to the 24 level eventually. And definitely, when I see an upgrade from like 18 to 24, I like to look at that 18 as a hard resistance. And they do have a buy rating on this. So it is very bullish. If it pulls back in knives, it's going to be a strong buy at 14. And if it go ahead and breaks out, we got to get past 17. CLSK. Next, we got PLTR. Look at that one. PLTR. That's been a good trade. Good little run. We've had a little bit of squeeze. We're getting ready to squeeze right now. It's held this 200 SMA for the last 2 weeks for support level. Bam, 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 bam. So if it pulls back, it could probably pull back to this 2642. I'm going to put another one right down here. I'm going to look at the yearly. Just look at the year. I just got to look at the year. See how we had this resistance level at 31. I could see that on the 20-day. And then your support level, I'm going to think it's going to be right in here where we had these wicks touch down and we had the body of this candle. So I think that 2436 will be your solid support. Whoa, what we got here? What did I say? 2436. There we go. $24.36 is going to be a strong buy. Your second support is going to be right here at $25.63. And then that first one's going to be right here at $26.42 with a pivot point area of right around 27. And the resistance to hit is going to be up here right around the $31 area. Then you got two steps. You got 2807 and 2907 for your next resistance levels. Going to be a hard to break right here, I think, at 29. If it does, I'd be taking profit at 31. PLTR, that's if it was me trading the stock. Low support, again, no lower than 24.36. and resistance to break at 2907. That's PLTR. I like it. I like this company. And JMIA. JMIA next. JMIA. I got 20 more minutes. I'm going to clear. Let me look at the 20-day. I've got this charted up pretty good. JMIA. Unusual option activity. Price target to 34. JMIA Technologies offered about 8 million American depository shares at market offering. That happened on the 30th. So that's old news. Stephen on CBS halftime report says added JMIA. Okay. So we're bullish on this stock. We're going to try to find a support on the 20-day. I got a low support channel down here. We're definitely breaking above it. I think I need to clean this up because I can't hardly read it now. I'm going to start fresh. Strong buy if it touches this 200 on the 20-day. So if you have the 200 SMA on the 20-day, 1 hour, I would use this 200 as a strong support level to get into the trade. And for right now, and this moving average will move on you as each day progresses. But I want to see if I can find a reason why I would like that 33.65, and I think it's right in here. See, bam, 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 bam. That's an equilibrium to this channel. And when I say equilibrium, what am I saying? Pivot point. Okay? My last dog lost her equilibrium. Not my last one, but the one before that. There was a chocolate lab. Her name was Anna. And she lost her equilibrium in her back legs. I had to finally lay her down. And it was a pretty sad day for me. Had her for 17 years. And we got 31.26 right here for another support level. See where we pulled back? Bam, bam, bam. But when I'm talking equilibrium on charts, that's a good thing. That's called a pivot point. We're going to go ahead and make that red. I have a real big passion for dogs. Any living life. And we're going to find a little support level right here where we had this previous high. We're recharting this up because I want to start clean and fresh. We had a high there, right in here. And then I'm going to put one right in here where we had this pullback, and then resistance to breaks right in here. So she did kind of bounce back up and kind of regain consciousness. Now, if this thing knifes, I want to see at 33.17 hold, okay? That's going to be probably your low support, strong buy at 33.17. That's an equilibrium into this channel, and it's also my new low support from this previous high. I'm looking at all kinds of ways to identify why I like this area, and we just couldn't. There was times where we couldn't break it, and then there was times where we just couldn't. It held as pretty good solid support. So let's write down that 33.17 if it pulls back to that for a strong buy next week. Resistance to break next week is going to be right around this 41.40. I think it can go up. Vegas and I have our next target is $45 on JMIA. So we got. I'm using the 20. I'm going to use the SMA, the 200 on the 20-day for a solid support line for a strong buy. I want to repeat that again because we did pull back a couple times and hit that. And as it keeps going up, it creates a solid support. Your first one's going to be this 50-day right here at 36, and I called this out last week, I think, at 36, 33, if I remember right, for a support level. And we did pull back to that area right in here pre-market and bounced up. Resistance to break 40.15 to a long of $45. And that's JMIA. Strong buy down at 33.17 with your first support at 36. And that's it for JMIA. And the next one's going to be DM. Thanks for putting that dollar sign in front of it. Desktop metal. Pulled back to the 200 right here. You see that? Could be ready for a reversal. Nice one here. Let's see what's in the news, and I want to check the float. There's no float on this one. There's not enough information on here, so that kind of got me kind of curious. What's up? Understanding desktop metal, Class A stocks, unusual option activity. Had some unusual auction activity on the 11th. Price stock moved up. Okay, it's not going to tell me what the option is. It's unusual option activity, so let's look at it here real fast. I just want to see what's going on. Oh gosh. They're buying the heck out of this trade here. Buying the heck out of it. I'd be looking, let me see what the price of this thing was. Let's chart this up first, and then we'll go back to the option. I like this one a lot. Right there, 1711 with a lower support right down here, right around 1573. I think it'll hold this 200 and bounce on up. Resistance level to take it. Let's bring it right up here, right around 1924. And resistance to break is going to be this 18. Oop, I don't want that. Right there at 18. I like this one a lot. I'm glad you pointed this one out to me. Okay, we got an equilibrium right in here at 1915. That's a pivot point. We're down here at support level. Strong buy at 1569. Resistance to break is the pivot point at 1924. And then you can take it probably back up here to right around the 2344 area. Let's see if they have any upgrading prices on this. I got Dominion Energy. Class A common unusual option activity is the only thing I've seen here. I like this one a lot. Okay. So our target on this is going to be a $20 strike. I'll be looking at this option right here. Maybe next week, or even go a little farther out to January and buy that one right there, or this one right here. Those would be the two I'd be interested in. And if I was trading the option, they still have great volume. This one here really has some nice volume at 25, and it's a little bit half price. So that's probably the one I'll be looking at. And that's on January the 15th. And you could probably go farther out with it, but when I looked at the 18th, I seen all that option activity. I'd even probably scalp it if it started to move up on the 18th, Monday. But I'd take it up to the $20 strike and maybe break this resistance at 1924. If we can get past that, we'll go up to these higher highs. I like it off this 200 right now. And that's DM. Good trade there. I like it. I like it a lot. Next one. Buy the rumor and sell the news. I know it. I think that's what I've done with Dropbox. Yes, I'm in workhorse calls. Let's look at them. WKHS. We're going to extend this. I only got 10 minutes. We're going to extend it a little bit longer so I can go down through the list here until I get done. I got 3 supports on this one right here with a strong buy down at 19 bucks. I got a resist. We do have higher lows in the last 2 days, and we do have an ascending triangle. I think we're getting ready to break out up to this one right up in here, right around the 2284. And if we break past the resistance level of, see, we couldn't do it right here. So if we break that 2284, we can take it up to the next resistance level, and that's going to be right around the 2348 area. For right now, you got your 3 support levels, one at 1922, 2026, and we want to see this 2118 hold, and then break resistance right here at 2284. Anything above that's going to be a gift on Workhorse. And if it does start to get some good news and some momentum, we can run it back up here to this area right in here at 25. See, I'm always jotting down. I say I don't want to leave that 2432 out either. I'm semi-bullish, not 100% bullish on Workhorse. I get bullish when I pull back to the lower supports, but I think we're setting up to break resistance at 2216. If we do that, we can take it up to this next level of 2284, and then maybe get it up to this ascending triangle right here that we had of 2348. Always looking for them chart patterns. Workhorse. Yes, appreciate that. Hit the thumbs up if you like it. Hit the thumbs down if you don't. If there's a comment section down there below, please make a comment on how I can improve it, or I'll take criticism as long as you don't call me a name. Let's look at IPOC. I'd like for you to follow, though, subscribe to this channel, and watch my daily briefings on stocks that I'm looking at for the next day. There's short little videos, and then I do the 2-hour sessions on the weekend. Share it with your friends, especially for people that are beginners and want to learn how to chart and how to catch knives and how to look for resistance levels. Let's look at IPOC. Let's check out the float size. We got a 41 million float. It's reasonable. I had something happen here. Let's see what happened 3 days ago. Nothing happened 3 days ago. I don't see any recent news in here. Clover. So that's that. 47. SPAC. Now I don't see much in the news department. I want to check out the site itself. I got to know what I'm looking at. I got to know what they do, what sector they're in. Okay. The investment seeks to replicate the closely as possible. Yeah, so far I'm not too interested in it. I'm going to do one more thing here. Okay, yeah. This one doesn't excite me too much, I'll tell you right off the bat, but we're going to try to find a support level. 1111 with strong buy here at 1086. We got a resistance level here at 1145, and then we've got 1170 right up here. Now I got to find an equilibrium in this channel, and that's going to be right there. I'm being honest with you, you know. If like I said, within 10 seconds, I can tell if I want to take a trade or not. I don't think I'd want to with this unless I was going to pull back and find a support level. Now you got a strong buy down here right around 1111 for your first support, and then this area down in here, if it holds right at 1086, I'd take it back up and run it up to resistance level maybe of 1144. I think this thing can knife and then retrace back up. That's how I see this trade happening. If you're in the trade, I'd try to get out even and play the pullback and retrace back up. That's just my guess. I don't know if I'm 100% right. IPOC, strong buy at 1086, resistance to break right at 1145. The next, Adam, sorry about that. You probably know something about it more than I do, and if you do, let me know. Then I might reevaluate it. Can't wait for it to go to NASDAQ. Okay, what's next? Space. I think I saw space in there. Oh gosh, there's a lot of them in here. We're going to extend this on out for another half hour, because there's a lot of them down here I want to look at. Let's look at space. Space is really doing good now. It's broke out of resistance levels, and we're in a whole new channel. This was resistance down here, and then it jumped up at, oh, IPOC. Yeah. Let's clean this up. You can tell I've charted this up pretty good. Like I was telling you, we're in a new channel. We do have remember what I call this? A pennant flag. Let's go ahead and draw a couple trend lines in here on space. Start off with this here. Move on down, extend that to the right. That's going to be our resistance to get to right around this area. And then we're going to go ahead and chalk this here. Extend that to the right. Now that's going to be my little channel. We're going to squeeze. This is telling me within maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days, we're going to squeeze, and we're either going to go down or we're going to go up. If we go down, it's going to be this previous high that we had right here. So let's draw a trend line across it. We want to get in this trade at support, right? We had a triple top breakout with an ascending triangle right here. See that? Higher highs all the way up. Damn, Jim. I got a new mouse. It's the mouse that made me do it. I'm only taking it to this right here, and I'm going to extend that out to the right. So this is an ascending triangle breakout till we had the high right here. So I've got 2 lower supports that I can get to. And I'm just going off this trend line from right here to right here, and I'm just running it on out. I want to find an equilibrium in this channel. And that's going to be right in here. But damn it. Sorry if there's any children in the audience. Right there. Spank. Jim. Then we're going to find a resistance level. I like space a lot. Richard's my friend. Richard. Richard Branson. Trying to find little places of support and resistance level, charting this thing up. So this is the pivot point in the channel. We're going to make that red, and then we're going to call this trade out. I'm going to go to 1 day. Always something you got to miss in here. There's something right there, and then there's something right here. See where we had this high and we had this low. So let's look at it like this. Strong buy, I want to hold at 31.16. That's a dollar dip. If we were going to play the pullback, catch the knife, we'd want to look for this area right in here at 31.16, where that trend line followed on up and matched up with that. So that's going to be your first strong support level. I think this thing can pull back pre-market and then bounce back up and find this equilibrium at 32.24 and bust past that. Next resistance at 32.84, 33.41, and then we're going to take it right here, 33.79 to 33.24. I found this area right in here, that pullback, and on this little resistance level right in here before she finally failed. Strong buy at 31.16. First support right down here at 31.88. That's got to hold. If it doesn't, it'll drop down here, pre-market. And then resistance to break at 32.84. And then if it busts past that, you can take it up to these different levels. You can fine-tune it if you want, maybe right around 33.14, 33.41 to 33.79, and then long up here right around 34 to break resistance at 34.60. And I like space. I think we'll have a little pullback and then a retracement back up. Next, what do you got? 41.76. What's that one on? Okay, next, laser, LAZR. If I've missed anything on the way up, let me know. LAZR. We want to catch knives, and we want to catch the pullbacks and support levels. LAZR, let's look at the yearly. Okay, not looking too good right now, is it? Not looking too good right now. It held support right here at 27.93. Well, if this fails, if this 27.93 fails, it can go down here to right around 23 and be an ugly knife to 23.66. If this holds, and we did close at 28.12, so we'd have to go past 29.60. Heard some brakes. Sound like somebody gonna run into my building there. I'm just trying to find little places on the body of these candles. Let's pull up the 20-day. Yeah, right down here's your low support, right at $20. So if this thing doesn't hold this, and that's where that gap was, if it doesn't hold the 27.93, we can drop down to this ascending triangle support level at 23.66. There is a little support right in here at 26.11 that runs into that 200. So these are my three support levels. Low, 20.40 for a strong buy. Second support at 23.66. And that first one at the 200 SMA at 26.11. The pivot point is right here at 27.93. And then you got your next resistances on up. Hard resistance to break at 33 bucks. LAZR. So we're at a pivot. We're at a very important level right here. If this holds, we'll retrace back up. If not, we're going to pull back to these other three support levels. LAZR. Apple. Apple's bullish again. Pulled back to our support level. I'll be bullish into 2021 once COVID is done. It bounces good off this 200 SMA on the 20-day. We had a golden cross right here, and we had a death cross right here. See, when the 50 crosses down over the 200, expect a pullback, and when the 50 crosses up, expect a jump. Me, I would have got in this trade a lot sooner than both of them. Support level right here at 121. Yeah, this is a pretty solid area right in here for support on Apple at that 120.54 to 121. I'm going to color that in. Bam. Bam. And then your resistance level is going to be up here right around the 123.64. I'm very bullish on Apple, and I call this out pretty good. Strong buy down here in the red area. 118 if it does decide not to hold this support channel at 120.54. I think it will. If it doesn't, strong buy at 118 to 118.65. Last time I called this out at 114, and look what happened. I'm telling you, if I'm going to raise the bar, the new solid low support is going to be 118 to 118.65. First support is going to be this 120.54 and 121.01. The resistance to break is going to be between 123.28 and 123.62. Long 125. Apple. I'm bullish on it. Depends on how she trends. I think we're going to find this channel and eventually break out of it probably by the first of the year or into next year. But I'm bullish on it, and I think we are going to get a little Santa rally. We've kind of had one with the COVID vaccine coming out. This is big news. I don't think it's baked in. A lot of people do. I think we'll go higher. In 4 years, the Dow should reach 40,000, unless something drastic happens. We're at 30 right now, close to it. So that's Apple. Next, LMND. AQB, I love that company. Salmon, just like shrimp. LMND. Here you go. Amanda. I love that name. I'm going to sing you a song. Amanda. So we're going to go right here. Light up my life. I'll try to find a little equilibrium right here. I'm going to see, I don't think the float matters on this one, but we're going to check it out. 36 million float. You forget everything you know about insurance. Instant, no-brainer prices. So this is an insurance company. Lemonade. 5-star. Insurance company. Lemonade has earned 4.9-star App Store and Google Play, and is also a top-rated Super Money clearance and others. Homeowner insurance. I'm bullish on the housing. I think that a lot of people are moving into the suburban areas, buying homes, getting away from the high traffic and COVID cases that are happening in the big cities and the high taxed areas. I think people are going to start buying more real estate and start building homes, and there are going to be a lot of people that travel in RV trailers are going to be buying a lot of land and building a little second home for themselves while they go out and travel in their RVs. I think the deal with Airbnb I think they're going to end up expanding and getting into real estate too. You notice that the Airbnb stock, and we'll take a look at it too. I want to find a real nice support. I scalped it on the IPO day. I mean fast. And then, but I'm really hot on the real estate bubble that the real estate that we're going to go into the next couple of years. So that's my bullish side of it right now. Let's look at the yearly one more time. Yeah, on the year even, this place here is a pretty solid spot. This 86.93 area. Let's go to the 20-day. Yeah, see how it falls right in there? So that should hold, that 86.63. If it decides to pull back, right now it's below the 50, which is just a little sign of weakness. I think it can pull back to this support level at 86.50 and then bounce back up. That's pretty solid. Then your resistance to break is going to be this 95.27, and then get it back up into here. If she decides to break that resistance level at 95.27, up here to around 102.04, and that's a gift. Strong buy, 78.35, 82.08, with an equilibrium, a pivot point at 86.90, which now becomes support. And that first one here is at 90.30, 95.27, long 102.04, and you'll probably have an exit plan to get out right under 100. That's going to be LMND, Amanda. AQB. AQB. What do? They raise salmon. Oh boy. I got 2 years of trend lines on this thing, or maybe 3. I don't know what these red lines for. These probably might have been support levels, but I definitely got my 2019, and I think I was looking at this way before that. In fact, I want to check something out. I'm going to pull up the year. Why I got all these on here. Yeah, this was a year ago I was playing this stock. Okay, we've had a nice little breakout and a pullback. Now, I think we can jive down one more time and find a real strong support right in here, right around the 585 area. I'm going to have another one right here at 629. Another one right there. We had it spinning top, so this could just pull back to the top of that spinning top and bounce back up. Resistance to break, it's got to be this 805 area. Let's look at the let's go up a couple more tiers here. Low support right down here, 515. Strong buy. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to look at the salmon. I want to look at the salmon. I want to look at the float. Better way to raise Atlantic salmon. It's my favorite fish besides mahi-mahi. I like to eat mahi-mahi. I love it a lot if I'm ocean fishing. But I like this because of the better way to raise salmon. And if anybody's studied this stock, do it. It's a very interesting company. And they're farm raised, and they'll raise these salmon, and it's just a good way. It keeps the oceans clean. It's, to me, an environmentally friendly way to produce salmon without tearing up the ocean. So I'm definitely bullish on this company. I've been talking about it for a long time. The float on it's 16 million. It's another reason why it could be a good trade. It's a reasonable float. You know, anything above 10 million is reasonable. Anything below that and anything below 2.5 is a pump. I'd already put that in my head, you know. I know a lot of pumpers will be trading it. And what I mean by pumpers, I don't really mean pumpers. I just mean scalpers. I want to clarify that. So strong buy, no lower than 515. I want to pull up the 20-day and look at the 20-day. And then we got a support level right in here, right there. Okay, so this down here, this area right in here where we had this previous high, right around 629 is going to be your third strong support level. I'm going back on the 20-day chart and I'm looking for the previous high. Actually, it should be adjusted just a little bit to around 619, but I want to get there before everybody else. So right around 630 would be my entry level if it does decide to pull back. And then the resistance to break is going to be this number right here at 760. I'm bullish on this stock. I just would rather probably play the pullback here at 629, 630, and run it back up to resistance level at 760. And if that break, anything above that's going to be a gift. And that's AQB. Bullish. Like it. I did I do yeah, I did do it. Did I do IIPR? I think I did. Yep, I did this one already. I'll go over it real fast in case you relate to the room. I think we can pull back to this 156.41 area. We have an ascending triangle. It can hold support right here at 159.21, and then break resistance right here at 162.95, and then you can bring it up to a double top. That's an ascending triangle. We're getting ready to squeeze. I think it's going to do something in a day or two, and it needs to break that 162.95 to go higher. Let's go back 3 years and see if there's anything. We're at a 3-year high, and we are at a double top. So that 164.99 is your hard resistance to break. IIPR. CLX, Clorox. CLX. Whoa. Computer mine has a mind of its own. I got a real nice computer set up, so I have a real nice computer set up. Let's look at that's the 3-year. A 3-year high up here right around 237. Got a low right down here right around 194. I don't want to see it go lower than 194. And I want resistance to break right here at 208.98. Let's look at the 20. Let's go a little bit higher. Bullish on Clorox. I'm looking at the 1 year now. We've pulled back to this support level. Right in here. See that? Where we pulled back a few times? That's solid support. And then we hit it, runs it right here again. So I can't see it go any lower than 194 for a good entry. 194. I just don't like this right here. I think if this 50 squeezes above, touches that 200 and moves back up, you can take the trade to 215. If this 50 SMA curls up, now this is the SMA, the 200 and the 50. So if you're looking at it as a swing trade and it does not go down below this 200, I think you're set up to bring it back up to 215.71. Clorox. Resistance to break is going to be this 208, 209 area. Pretty sure of it. We had this little resistance level right in here, over here. So if this 50 holds up above the 200, we'll go ahead and retrace back up to 208, 209 to 215.71 for an exit. No lower than the 194. That's Clorox. X, U.S. Steel, Shooting Star, hello Limerick. Let's look at X. Got a pennant flag, symmetrical flag. It's getting ready to squeeze. Let's clear this up. X has had a wonderful run. We called this out, me and Doobie in the room, when it was right around $7, $8. It's had a beautiful run. I think it's already baked in the price. I think we're due for a little pullback. And I'm going to try to find a support level right in here. These are your three supports. Whoop. Right there. And then resistance to break is going to be this one right here. I think we need to go sideways and build a channel right now. I think the price is pretty well baked in from the lows. We're up, what, 300, almost 300%, 250% from the low when we called it out at $7. What a trade. They're going to be building a lot of stuff. I think they'll come out with an infrastructure bill first of the year. Shovel-ready projects. It won't be too shovel-ready if Democrats are in charge. They'll put that money into unions and other things and bail out the unions. So we got a pivot point area right here, right around 1754. That's a pivot point area with a low support, strong buy at 1582. I think it will pull back. We'll just have to see. Low support at 1582, 1661, and 1716. Your pivot point, which is your first support at 1754. And then you got this one right here, you know, at 1822, 1886, and 1947 if it decides to pull back. And that's X. I like it. I think we're going to need to pull back a little bit and build a sideways channel, consolidate. It's had too good of a run. Just kind of, you can tell that it's kind of going down. These big engulfing candles are just, I think it's baked in. Strong buy, no lower than 1582. X. LMD we'd already done. Thank you, Jim, for taking the time and the charts and everything. Thank you, Steve. I do appreciate that. Oh, Bug, yes, I do appreciate that. JMIA we did is going on dip on Monday. That's when I get in. Exactly. You're welcome, Chris. Let's look at Asian. IPOC is a SPAC. Okay. No wonder I didn't like it. But now I do like it. I'm getting into these SPACs. You know, a SPAC used to be something that traders didn't want to get into. It was like worse than an IPO at one time. It was a way to embezzle money. But now these new SPACs and new rules that are out, I think are better in a way than an IPO. It gives more control with the major investors in the stock itself than what an IPO would. So I'm into the SPACs, and I do appreciate you pointing that out, Johnson, because I'm going to take another look at that later on down the line, studied a little bit more. I did read SPAC all the way down through there, so it should have triggered, right? Okay, Asian. look at the news. Jefferies adjusts Asian's price target to 35 from 30. JP Morgan says it's going to go to 38. Oppenheimer says 35. Credit Aussie says 27. We got Piper down here, it says 40. We got RBC that says 36. Well, so we got a bullish trade here, right? Outperform rating, buy rating, outperformed, and one maintains neutral at 27. Overweight rating. I mean, everybody's got a different rating on this. Let's find some support levels. ASAN. Right there. Right there, right there. Right there. We'll put one on the wick here. And then we'll find an equilibrium right in here. And another one right here. Okay. That don't mean much to me right now, but this line here, this line means a lot. See where we had these resistance levels? That's about basically that line and this line. So I'm going to color both of them in red. History repeats itself with candlesticks. As you can tell, as I've been charting, and you can see, history, bam, resistance, bam, resistance, bam, resistance, bam, support, support. Very solid, very solid. With a strong buy down here right around 26.53. I'd set maybe an alert before I got there. I'd probably set an alert right here at 27 bucks. That's what I'm going to do. For a strong buy, they're at 27.08. I'll probably jump into the trade. First support's going to be right down here. I'd like to see that hold, 27.94. See, I have a difference between the low support and a strong buy. A lot of times these wicks can jump on down, and they can hold and bounce around a little bit. So if this triggers at 27.08, I'll probably jump into the trade and go long with it and be a long swing because you're in the bearish part of the trade. We did have a little resistance right here too. So I have to kind of color this channel in. I want to color that in. Bam. And then we're going to have resistance to break right here at 29.65. And anything above that's going to be a gift. They've got some pretty good high marks on this trade. I think that $27 area that has been mentioned is a pivot point, and it could drop below that into this lower channel and bounce back up there and find resistance and then break on up here to right around the 29.71 area. I can see it pulling back just a little bit and then bouncing right back up to this area and then taking off. That's going to be ASAN. I'm going to be watching this one along with DM. And I'm going to keep an eye on IPOC, see what they invest in. Most of them invest in like cars or something, but we're going to see what kind of industry they invest in. Yes, FCL done deal. You're welcome. Woo! Is that a stock? Airbnb. Yeah, I did IIPR. People liking that IIPR a lot, aren't we? Well, there's not much to do about this stock right now. Okay. I think it can go down a little bit more. It kind of irrational exuberance. on Airbnb. I don't really have enough time frame to try to find supports on this trade right now. I think the way I'm going to take it from here on out is I'm going to wait 2 weeks, and I'm going to watch it daily, and I'm going to follow the trend. I think there's going to be people stuck in this trade. It did not have a lockdown. That means share the company people can sell like 15% of the shares or something like that. They made a killing. There's a lot of millionaires and billionaires that made money on this IPO. So I think it's irrational right now, and it needs to find a support level. I scalped it on the very first day. I don't think I want to trade it for at least another week or two until it finds a solid support. That's how I would trade it, unless, a trend came. But I think we can get down to this thing, can get down to 120. 120, and if that doesn't hold, maybe a little above 100. And then start to bounce back up to that 148. I called 148 during the IPO when it was at the high, and I got out of it right at the high at 165. So if it pulls back, I had this 148 line on here, and that's where we pulled back to and found some kind of equilibrium. For right now, it's just there's not enough time for me to really give you a good idea on how I think this thing can go. But I can say if it pulls back to 120, I'm going to be looking at it real close. I will say that. We got to give it some time. You just don't want to, you got to wait for it to find a support level and consolidate. And that's what I kind of said in the room. I'm going to be long in this stock. I think this is really going to be a good one to trade into next year. Airbnb. I'll probably let it settle down and then first of the year look at it again. I don't want to waste my time on it, but I do believe I like it. The next one, PLTR, yes, I did it, and we'll go over it one more time, and then we're going to call it quits. I think I got everything on here. I got a low support right around 2436 on PLTR, 2563 and 2642. I have an equilibrium pivot point at $27 with 3 more resistance levels at 2807, 2907, and let's bring it up and find one right in here somewhere. Let's just make it, I'll tell you what, I think I talked about this the other day. I want to keep the tradition going. I'll make it at 3007. So 2707. Oh, this brings it up to 4 of them have world record. Low support at 2436, 2563, 2642, with a pivot point at 2707, 2807, 2907, and 3007. I just wanted to say that. I've never been able to do that in the 16 years that I've been trading. I like PLTR. I like it a lot more if it gets down here to 2436. And we could have us a little bottom here, but with these higher lows, I think we're building an ascending triangle right here. And if it does break out past 28 come Monday, if it does break past that 28, we're going to go up into these other 3 resistance levels. That's going to be PLTR and bullish on it. So that's it. I really do appreciate everybody showing up and hitting that like button. I'm going to go ahead and kind of relax. I'm running out of breath. I'm going to relax and watch a little TV and cook me up some real nice soup for next week so I can have something to eat while I'm sitting here talking stocks. Please, if you go to our website, follow us on Twitter. We have a little Twitter link right here. You can join the room. 20-day trial, I think. Vegas is posting alerts in here on a daily basis. I also have mine. If you have a Twitter account, you can go to my page, my profile. I love stocks at James Howard 18. I post alerts in here all the time. They're correlated with my Stock Twits page, my Twitter right here. I'm up to 3,000 followers. I just hit that bandwagon just a couple weeks ago. I'm posting my alerts in here too. I like to tease the bears every once in a while. I put a song of the day in here as I'm thinking of songs I want to be playing or listening to. This one here was Tommy Emmanuel and Billy Strings. I've watched Tommy Emmanuel probably 20 times. Talked to him personally. He's a wonderful guitar player. That's about it. We do also have here at Pinterest our YouTube channel. You can always follow some of these videos that I do. I did one on Starbucks, technical analysis with Lulu. If you want to look at Lulu, I'm going to be posting my challenge account alerts in here also. I did start a challenge account for anybody that's been in here. I post my challenge account. I'll post it in Stock Twits. I started with 1,000. I got it up in 2 weeks. I've got it up to $1,750. The 3 trades that I am in the challenge right now is CRM, DBX, and Starbucks. And I don't know about Starbucks. I might get out of it. I'm going to definitely sell DBX at open if I can get out at $24. And then I got CRM. I'm going to swing that. I'm going to get out of that too. But I've got DBX. I've got until the 31st. And then I got Starbucks until my birthday, February 19th. And then this week here, CRM, I'll get out of it on the first pop. I won't wait. First time it pops, I'll get out of it. I just got one contract of it. So this is I Love Stocks, and I thank you all very much. Let's do this again. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Y'all have a good day.